You're listening to Limitless Leaders Podcast. Accelerate your mindset, collaboration and performance by developing limitless self-leadership, leaders, teams and organizations. Now, over to your host, Renee Giarrusso.
Hi, and welcome to the Limitless Leaders Podcast, a podcast where we accelerate limitless leaders, connective teams, and collaborative cultures. Thanks for tuning in from wherever you are in the world, and thank you for all your feedback on topics, challenges you're facing, and requests for guests. And I'm super excited to introduce you soon to today's guest. So we've hit the halfway mark of the year. Hard to believe, and it's been an interesting year, I think, for everyone all over the world. I know it has been from where I'm coming in from, Melbourne, Australia. And I just want to share something that I've seen with a lot of my clients, especially over the last 2 months, and that is reconnecting back in the workplace. Hybrid work is here to stay. I say we're in a new normal, not a next normal, because it's going to be changing every day. And we've got what we call the back to office resistance, or what I'm calling that, where we've got some people happy to be back. Many, their lives have changed personally. They want more flexibility. And it's creating a bit of a challenge in teams where people aren't all on the same page. So I get called a lot to come in and do collaboration type programs. And I think, if you want to collaborate in an hour, get a comedian. You probably get more value out of that. So I always say, what about getting your team together and looking at what are your team and organisational goals, maybe review a project or a new idea, and bring in and unwrap what I call the gift of curiosity. So curiosity, I believe, creates and fuels creativity, and the byproduct of that is collaboration. So if you're listening right now and you want to really get some bonding in your team and some connection, and we know we're all wired to connect, think about some topics that have been coming up. Think about what's next. We've got the past, we've got the now. Let's look at what's next. And today's guest, I am super excited to introduce, will be actually giving us lots of tips, tools, decades of amazing experience on how to apply some of these principles back into your team. So I would love to introduce you to our speaker today, and he is multi-award winning. He's a best-selling author of 5 books published in 12 languages, and in his 25-year speaking career, he has presented to over 1.6 million people across 39 countries. What's interesting is in the past 2 years, he has transitioned, like you and I, onto the virtual world, and Keith has created a purpose-built virtual studio and delivered 239 presentations from his home in Brisbane, Australia. And that's to over close to 70,000 people in 39 countries. Keith Abraham has become one of the world leading authorities on goal achievement. Those that know me know that's a big part of what I believe in and how I live, and I know the importance of this. He's a certified speaking professional, an even award winner, a keynote speaker of the year, and educator of the year. And he has become the world's premier thought leader on accelerating performance in leaders and CEOs of billion-dollar companies. They turn to Keith for inspiration, insights, and ideas, how to bring the best out of themselves and their people. So I feel so blessed to have you here today, Keith. Welcome.
Thanks, Renee. Great to be with you, and thanks for the kind introduction. I love how you started things off about curiosity. Renee, I had the great pleasure of attending a National Geographic photography retreat in New York City about 15 years ago. I was there presenting at 2 conferences, one week and one the other week, and I decided not to come home and go back again. And so I explored New York City for a week, which was great. I had a little studio apartment.
Love New York.
Yeah, me too. But during I am a keen photographer, and so but in between there was this photography retreat with the National Geographic, and I thought, oh, this is a perfect opportunity, to look through a lens around New York. And the person that was running this was a guy called Bob Sarsha. Now, Bob Sarsha at the time had 25 covers for National Geographic. Phenomenal photographer. He was also a professor and lecturer at New York City University, and he talked about, and his topic, an area of expertise, was curiosity. And I took away this one quote. He said, as leaders, we need to be curious enough to not just think about what's on top of the hill, what's not over the hill, but what's around the corner. And I love that you talk about curiosity around, personal and leadership performance, and this limitless mindset you need to have as a leader. So congratulations on a phenomenal podcast, and also the books that you've written. It's been, you achieved some amazing things, Renee.
Oh, thanks, Keith. I really appreciate that. And I think you're right. Curiosity in leadership is a key trait. There's optimism, there's a million things, but I think now more than ever, curiosity is that key. And only the other day, someone said, how can I quickly bring curiosity in? And, in your mindset, I think we think too much in statements. That team is amazing, or that organization is amazing. Flip that statement into a question. What makes that team amazing?
Yeah, great point.
Way you go and explore and expand on your thinking around that.
Yeah. And Renee, curiosity as well is the antidote to being, as a leader, to being stuck, stale and stagnant.
Yes.
Lots of leaders, especially what's happened in the last couple of years, have become a bit stuck in their thinking. They've become a bit stagnant in this one-dimension world of virtual. And we have to, as you're doing, have to help people just shift their mind, shift their perspective. And a great way to do that is being curious around asking those quality questions, the what if, the perhaps maybe, imagine if we could, this would happen. I love working with companies and especially some of the large organizations that I deal with. And we say, what sort of growth are you going to achieve this year? And they say, probably about 5% growth. I said, well, what if it was 25%? Oh, that can't happen, Keith. That's not an industry standard. I said, yeah, but what if? What would we have to do vastly different?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, I'm a big fan around limitless leaders, limitless teams and limitless organizations that learn, unlearn, rethink, evolve, refresh.
Yeah,
it has to be there. And I think if you're not questioning things, that's an issue for me. And not questioning things for the sake of it, but I think challenging the status quo I always say, don't be better, be different.
Nice.
Because I think too many companies go, look at a competitor and go, oh, they're better than us, we'll do that. But then the competitor's doing the same thing. So don't be better, be different. Keith, you've had an amazing career. I'd love to just get an understanding, and for our listeners and viewers as well, as to how you got to where you are today and what inspired you.
Yeah, that's a great question. So let's wind the clock right back, which is always, back in the good old days. But look, I've been really fortunate along the way. Now, when I often talk to people, and I use those statistics, 3% of people go and make things happen, 10% of people think or expect things to happen, 60% of people just watch things happen, and 27% of people don't know what happened. I was in the 27%. I worked at the local council. I was a noxious weed inspector. I was not a very motivated. I used to travel down the Gold Coast Highway at 100 kilometres an hour looking for noxious weeds. I didn't find too many. I was in the 27%. And by the way, my mum got me that job because I was I dropped out of school twice. It takes a special type of child to drop out of school twice.
I did it once.
Yeah, well, for me it was twice. And my boss came to me one day, a guy called Len Anderson. He was the chief health inspector, and he said, listen, Keith, we'd like you to go on a week-long leadership program. And I thought, he's got rocks in his head. I'm sleeping a couple of hours every day. The weeds are running rampant in my area. I'm saying I'm definitely not leadership material. Then he mentioned the magic words. You get a week off work with full pay. I thought, you know what, maybe I'm a leader. He was involved in Rotary. Rotary every year run a program called Rotary Youth Leadership Award, or more commonly known as RYLA. They take 18 to 24-year-olds out in the bush for a week. And I was 23 and a half years of age and went out there. And on the last day, a guy stood up and started talking about goal setting. I'd never heard of it before. I was 23 and a half years of age, grew up on the farm, knew about goals and footy and all that sort of stuff. But you know, this, so you write stuff down, you put a date to it and it comes true. Wow. You know, so I fell in love with goal setting. And then 25 years ago, I turned that passion into a profession and started doing my own thing. You know, before that, I was a trainer in Suncorp and, you know, and did lots of free presentations to different, you know, youth groups and things like that, and went back to RYLA and spoke. And then I made a decision 25 years ago that I was going to go and have a crack at this. And I said to my wife, Christine, I said, here's the worst thing that can happen. This doesn't work, and I go and get a real job. And you know, we just, you know, the first year I was able to replace my income and my wife's income. And then we just, you know, plugged into some great mentors and great coaches through the National Speakers Association, went to a couple of conferences and got a bit of a vision for the future of what this could be. And I just built my whole business off 100% referrals. So, you know, I just was so intensely focused on doing a great job, adding, you know, unprecedented value to get the invitation to come back. And I think I had very much you know, I've always been a strong goal setter, but I've been exceptionally tenacious. Yes. And just, you know, built relationships with clients, stayed in touch with people when they weren't doing business with me, and you know, have a business today that's, you know, all over the world. And, you know, I've been booked, apart from that first year, which wasn't a full year for me, but I presented at, you know, 100 conferences or more for 24 years now. So
amazing.
Yeah, it's look, and it's you know, here's the thing, and it's exactly the same as how you've gone about your business. Is I've treated it like a business. You know, I think some people fall in love. You know, I think, you know, some people fall in love with the applause. I fell in love with how do I make the biggest impact?
I love that
for the clients that are paying. You know, and hence you get invited back. And I had a conversation. So I've worked 18 years straight for Toyota globally, and one of their vice presidents contacted me recently, and they said, "Oh, look, we'd like you to come and do this with our top 6, you know, country general managers." And I said, "Oh, thanks very much, Sean. I'm really grateful for the opportunity." He said, "No, don't." He said, "Don't be grateful." He said, "You've earned the right to be one of our most trusted advisors." And we could think of no other person to work with these, you know, these 6 country managers. And I think that's the same for you as well, Renee. You build such a great connection, not a communication channel, but a connection with somebody. And that's what gets people to, you know, keep on coming back and just to consider you, you know, always to be in their inner circle.
Yeah, I love that. And that's such an amazing story. And I think, you know, you hit on a word there, and you've got, you know, those that are listening and not watching the video, you've got the word clarity and focus behind you, which are 2 of my favorite words. You can't focus if you don't have clarity.
100%.
And you can have clarity without focus, but there's no action. It's one-dimensional. And I think you use that word, and it's another word that's in my vocab, tenacious. You know, it's not easy, but I think it's focusing on, like you said, and it's a question I want to ask you now. You know, success means something to everyone. It means something differently to everyone. I think success is in the eye of the beholder. It could be an outcome, a process. For me, it's a feeling. What is it for you?
For me, success is, so I think you got to look at it from a couple of different angles, you know. So business success for me is making a difference to the people I work with and the audiences I serve. And that difference is around helping people find clarity, because with clarity comes confidence, with confidence comes certainty, with certainty comes consistency. So there's this tail that comes from this whole concept of being able to make a difference. For my family, it's providing a lifestyle.
Yes,
and it's
contribution.
Absolutely, and it's been the living example for my two daughters.
Yeah.
So, not the talking example, but the living example. I said to someone just this week, I said the greatest compliment my daughters can pay for me, and my daughters are 24 and just about to be 22. The greatest compliment is when they come and say, "Dad, can we sit down and have a goal setting session?"
So good.
So all of a sudden you move from father to mentor, to respected mentor. And so that's definitely, my personal definition of success is providing a great lifestyle and leveraged income for my family and being that living example.
And that legacy piece, I think,
correct.
What you and I do, it is legacy because it's touching people, now, but forevermore. And I love that.
Sorry, you're talking about legacy there. My definition of legacy is something that's bigger than you, outside of you, and lives on long after you. And I say everyone's going to leave a legacy. Everyone listening, everyone watching your podcast today is going to leave a legacy. The question I have is, what will you be remembered for? And how long will you be remembered for it?
Yeah, it's beautiful. I think, the whole legacy piece is being remembered, but it's also living our legacy now. 100%. And I brought this up at a conference the other week, and everyone looked at me like, well, we're still here. And I said, everyone's amazing when they die, right? Everybody. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're a criminal. You'll get the best, eulogy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's what are you doing right now, those listening or watching, to live your legacy now? What are people, what is your, a good thing to do sometimes, I say, is to get down 21 things that you offer to the world outside your product or service.
Yeah, nice.
Nice.
And that legacy now, living now, has been the living example.
Yes.
So what I say is what I do. What I do is what I've said, and that's and really just stopping and for a moment, right, really thinking about, well, what difference am I making? What impact or influence am I working towards? And what will be the quality and the characteristic? We mentioned tenacity before, and my quote around tenacity is, tenacity wins every race.
Oh yeah.
I don't have to be the first to cross the line. I just have to cross the line that I've said, and getting people to really identify whatever that right mindset is. I think also, Renee, people talk in such general terms, such vague, general, and almost cliched terms. Like the amount of people you probably said to people, well, what type of mindset do you? I need to be positive.
Yeah.
And look, I've been doing this for 25 years, got no idea what that means.
No. And positivity to me, Keith, is in the now. When I was writing my book and we had the 12 skills you can deepen by looking at your lessons, I had the gift of positivity. And, I kept going to write that chapter and I was in total flow, couldn't write it. And I went, you know what? Positivity is about the here and now. Optimism's about now and hope for the future.
Yeah.
It's got more longevity. So that's when I changed it to that. But you're right. You can't just go, I'm going to be positive. That'll last a minute. It's going into gratitude. What can I focus on that I have? And getting out of your head, attention out. How am I making a difference and an impact? I love that word.
Yeah.
Impact.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Look, I as you know, I believe in a concept, or it's more than a concept. It's something I've lived many, many years, called the gift mindset. And that's all about stepping back and being open to unwrap the lessons from our challenges and our successes.
Yeah.
Because I believe who we are and who we're continually becoming, is driven by what we've done and how we use that to move forward. I'd love to just understand one or two lessons that you've learned in your career that have really helped shape the person you are today.
Yeah, I think that there's been multiple lessons.
Yeah.
Here's a couple off the top of the head. The first is you got to have great people around you. You've got to humble yourself enough to sit at the feet of a master. You have to find the mentors in your life. I've been really fortunate, Renee. I've had great mentors right throughout my professional speaking business. As a professional speaker, and I differentiate the two here, as a professional speaker and building a professional speaking business, I've had great mentors, whether they be people have given me ideas and strategies. I got to a stage in my career probably 10 years ago now where I went, you know what? There's nothing else I can do to add to the presentations. And I don't say that arrogantly. It's like, but I would add unprecedented value. We're going to do a pre-video and a post-video. We're going to online course, this 365 day contact pro, blah, 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 blah. And I went, oh, it's come to that time. I now have to become a great presenter.
Yep. Just got a few little cutouts here and there, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
We're real. We're rocking.
We're real. We're rocking. We're working in this virtual world. And so one of the things, Renee, so about 10 years ago, I went, gee, I've just got to become not just a good presenter, but a great presenter.
Yeah.
And so
I
found, exactly. I work with a guy called Colin James who really helped me from an NLP perspective. And I'd done NLP before, but just how to apply it from a presenter's point of view. I worked with Alan Parker, and that was really around just the gestures and how I hold myself in a room. I worked with a guy called Peter Kingston. Nobody knows Peter, but Peter was the director of direction at NIDA for stage presence.
Okay. Yep.
And then I worked with a couple of, I worked with Kate Burr around humour. I worked with Troy and Zara around storytelling. Yep. And so all of those people have been great mentors. And then one of my, two of my mentors, one guy who runs a huge coaching business, and another guy called Jack Daly. And Jack's like, probably about 14 years older than me, so I'm Jack in 14 years time. So I use Jack from that. So mentors. Here's the second one I'd say to you, which has been a great lesson along the way, is you're a poor judge of if you don't invest in yourself, you're a poor judge of a good investment. So I've always invested in myself with mentors. I've always invested in my business to take it to the next level. And I think, the other piece of the puzzle for me as well is, you mentioned before about gratitude. Just really, if you don't find the gratitude and the challenge, you become bitter, not better, they say.
That's right.
And so just to have, to be grateful for all the opportunities and places I've visited and the companies that I work for and the opportunities I've had. And I think, like the more you're grateful, I think the more fortunate you become, the more you have to be grateful for. And that's, and I think, I think it's really easy to be grateful and everything's great, but it's finding the gratitude in the challenge. And it's finding. Totally.
Yeah.
And I think that's, and there's times in your life that you get reminded of that, Renee. About 4 years ago now, I lost my dad. He was 93. But what was crazy about that day is I also lost my brother on the same day, 4 hours apart, 400 kilometres apart.
Wow.
So I lost my dad and my brother. And I was absolutely stunned and shocked. And I just thought, I was only talking to my brother before, I was with my dad when he passed away. I was only talking to my brother just before my dad passed away. It was like...
It's hard to comprehend. Like, how does that happen?
It was crazy. I laid down that night and I just journaled for a bit and I went, I could have went, isn't life just an absolute ... And I went, no. As terrible as this day is, I'm so grateful that I had a great relationship with my brother. I had a great relationship with my father. I had my father until he was 93. Some people lose their dads.
I lost my dad at 50. He was 50, my age.
Yeah. You know, and you sort of go, you know, and my dad taught me a lot. My brother taught me a lot.
Yeah.
And so you got to find the gratitude in the crappy times. That's been the real message for me as well. You know, and it's so easy. And then the final message I say there is, you know, comparison is a thief of joy.
Oh, yeah. It's a killer.
Yeah. So often we are measuring ourselves we are measuring our insides, what we're thinking internally, with people's external picture.
That's
right.
And
you're never, ever going to stack up.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's some amazing lessons there, and I resonate with all of those. And I think that last one around comparison, you know, we do a bit of work on that. I say comparison is a killer. Nobody is you. And I love that old saying, you know, don't compare your chapter 1 with someone's chapter 20.
Yeah,
I think that's, you know, and I think that's really important, just to check back in on, I guess this is a good segue into the 3 things that make everyone up, which I believe is your capacity, your capability, and your courage.
Yeah.
You know, what cups, you know, need to be filled. And I think if you get that happening, then you're ready to go with setting goals for yourself individually and for your team and your workplace.
Yeah.
So Keith, I'd love you are the go-to person on, I think, accelerating goals in people's lives in and out of work. You know, they're combined.
Yeah.
How important, being we're coming out, well, I think we're on the other side of a pandemic.
Yes.
You know, there's a lot of people running on the spot still. Oh, we've had COVID. This has happened. Playing that victim sort of mentality. Yes. How important is taking the time to set clear, focused goals with the right outcomes right now?
Oh, it is as vital as oxygen.
Mm.
You know, to not put too fine a point on it, Renee, one of the challenges that people have right now is they, you know, I love that quote from Dr. Joe Dispenza. You have to have a vision for the future, not a memory of the past.
Yeah, I love that.
You know, and I think for a lot of people, they're still living in, if not the past, at least the present set of circumstances. And the only way now to get through the present set of circumstances is have that vision moving forward, which means you have to have a goal. Personally, professionally, physically, profitably, you have to have a goal that is going to give you something to focus on. We need to, you know, put the past behind us, and we need a vision for the future to move ourselves forward. Because otherwise we become very, you know, you hit the nail on the head. People are busy being busy. They're running around in circles, and waiting for someone to give them permission, waiting for the government to say it's all okay now. You know, waiting for they're waiting for people to give them permission. And if you're waiting for someone to give you permission to step into your potential, then let me be the person to give you permission. Now's the time. Now's the time to clarify what's important, what matters, what's going to make a difference to you and to the people who mean the world to you. Now's the time to set the goals for yourself moving forward. Now's the time to really understand what drives you, understand what you desire, and understand how to strengthen your determination. We are not saying to you that what the period of time we're going to go through over the next couple is going to be easy. There will still be some growing and some transformational issues. However, you know, when you have the drive, the desire, and the determination, you know, how do you not progress? How do you not accomplish? How do you not achieve? Yeah.
And I agree, and I love that. You know, I think you've got to have those 3 things, and I think the desire is sometimes the bit that's missing for people, and I think that's the heart and the intuition towards something that may be more logical.
Correct.
So you know,
Just on that,
yeah,
Renee, one of the things, everybody's heard SMART goals, and I don't want to
yeah.
put anybody's nose out of joint, but
No.
let me tell you, SMART goals don't work because they don't have an emotional connection to them. And from the research that I've done, over the last 18 years, the research I've done, the people that have accomplished the most in their lives, in their business, in their roles, the ones to accelerate, elevate their success and their achievement, they have an emotional connection to their goal. They have a mental connection. They have a physical connection. What's that? Why, what, how, feel, think, do, heart, head, hands. And so because you and I are emotional creatures, we can experience 135 different emotions. Of those 135, 64 of them are positive. Of those 64, they break down into what I call goal drivers. And so, when people understand what drives them, what's the emotion that's driving them, all of a sudden that desire, and by the way, desire is the why, drive is the what, the determination is the how.
Yeah. I love that's such a simple thing everyone can take away today.
Yeah.
And you've got to have balance in all of those. And I think, you mentioned now, don't wait. There's always going to be things going on in the world. You're always going to have something going on at home. We've all got stuff happening. And I think having that clear goal is important. And I love what you said, SMART goal setting. I think, it's a good framework. It's not a great framework, no offense. But I think, I always say to people when they say to me, Renee, my goal is this, the question that comes straight out of my mouth is, if I took that goal away from you, would you care? And most of the time they go, no. If they go, yeah, it wouldn't worry me if you did, it's not the right thing. So let's be realists. Keith, you and I are very goal oriented, and I had the pleasure of doing the goal driver profile, which was profound.
Thank you.
Felt like I was reading. It was just amazing. It was so spot on for where I'm at.
Yeah.
Not everyone is goal oriented. We know that. We know a lot of people in life, if we go back to NLP, behavioral stuff, there are people that are more focused on the problem than the goal. So they'll still achieve goals, but they're motivated by looking at potential pitfalls and what could go wrong. And they maybe don't like to generalize, but have done enough work in these areas, in engineering, research and development, those types of roles. Technically brilliant, but not always, more sales and marketing focused where goal.
Yeah.
What's a tip you could give those people out there that are going, I don't even know where to start with what goals I want?
Yeah. Well, the best tip is you got to understand yourself. You got to understand what drives you. Because once you know what drives you, then you can start to put perspective around what goals are going to work for you. Because it's really easy to set goals that are given to you, or set goals that are society goals, or expected goals. But really what we need to do is build a relationship with our goal. And the way to build a connection, a way for a goal for you to be connected, compelled, and committed to it, is to really understand what is driving you and what your desire is. And so it's a nice segue, Renee, into the goal driver process, because I got very curious. We talked about curiosity before, but I got very curious about, and the question I kept on asking myself when I looked at people who were achieving amazing results, the question I kept on asking myself is, how do I help people go from point A to point B faster, easier, and sooner? Because what's the opposite of that? Slower, harder, never. And so
stifled.
So how do you, now, for most people, they actually don't fully appreciate or are aware of what is driving them. So 9 years ago, I started this goal driver program and process and research around this. And 4 years ago, I created a diagnostic tool. And I'm happy to share that with your listeners, with your viewers today, that they can go and do their profile. And it's a snapshot. It's not the full profile. Renee, you've got the full profile, which is 46 pages, 135 different insights, 24 performance accelerator tools. The snapshot is 6 pages. In actual fact, let me do this. The snapshot is 6 pages, where you identify what your driver is. We then take the time to give you 12 insights out of this. So, what are you driven by? What do you desire to become? How others describe you? Your best mindset. There are 8 mindsets. Your greatest fear. What do you like under pressure? What should you stop doing? How do you remove the roadblock? And give you some perspective around this. Now, if people want to access that, Renee, let me pop a website up on the
amazing. And I suggest doing this, those of you listening, and it doesn't take long. And
no, it's about 5 to 7 minutes.
Gold, yeah, it's quick, but it's just the gold that's mined through such a simple, quick tool and is accurate is profound.
Yeah, and so if you just go to mygolddriver.com, you just put in your name, you put in, now there's 5 areas you can look at. So you pick an area, and because the snapshot's free, you can do it a couple of times. But it can be your personal, your personal life. It can be your business role. It can be your professional career. It can be your health. It can be health and wellbeing, and it can be your finance. And so you can go to mygolddriver.com, 5 to 7 minutes to complete it. You'll get 12 great insights. You'll get a diagram that explains all of the drivers. And that will give you the opportunity then, Renee, to be able to go away and first gain what is moving, what will move you closer to what you want and move you further away from what you don't want. The next piece of the puzzle around that, Renee, is to really then sit down and go, okay, what do I want to achieve in those 4 key areas of life? What do I want to achieve personally? And
I lost you then, Keith.
Oh, sorry. How's that, Renee? Am I back?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. It might be just we've got a bit of funny weather here in Brisbane at the moment. So, so the first thing is, okay, what do I want to achieve personally? So what's personally? Holidays you want to go on, family.
Connection, relationships.
Yeah, correct. Professionally, leadership, career, business, growth, development, that type of thing. Physical health, your health, well-being, fitness, strength, resilience, that type of thing, and profitable. Because you've got to stick with all the P's, Renee. So profitable.
I love your palette. I'm so similar. Everything's C's and P's.
So it's my way of being. I'm trying to be clever. So and then of course profitable is about what you want to save, invest, purchase, and ask yourself this question: what do I want to achieve in the next 12? What's one goal I want to achieve in each of those 4 areas over the next 12 months? And you don't have to get too far ahead of yourself, because I think what happens with a lot of people is we're waiting for things to be perfect. And what I want to say is start where you stand and, just pave the road in front of you. It's okay not to have everything in alignment, everything to,
and they don't have to be big goals. This is where I think people do goal overwhelm. They think they have to be, I always say, have goals that scare you and stretch you. But at the same time, if you do overwhelm and you do nothing and don't take action, break those goals into smaller goals. Would you suggest that as well?
Yeah, one of the activities, if people haven't done a real lot of goal setting, you can go to my website, which is keithabraham.com/resources. There's a hand there you can download it for free, and there's a video that goes with it. And it talks about 20 goals you want to achieve in the next 12 months.
Okay.
Little things. Because now here's the reason why, Renee, and you know this better than anybody else. When I start to tick off, and they're little things. I want to do a barbecue, course. I want to clean up the backyard. I want, and of the 20, there's 20 areas that people can, what would be a great weekend activity? What would be your next short holiday you want to go on? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'd say, do it yourself, do it with your family. So do 2. Yeah. And then what I do, because here's the reason why. If you haven't done a real lot of goal setting, it is all about momentum. And so as you start to tick some things off, I don't know about you personally, Renee, but I bet you're the same as me. I get frustrated when I don't feel like I'm making progress.
Oh, I love this. Keith, I did a video on this 2 days ago.
Oh, really? Gotcha.
So there's 48 things I believe that motivate us at a deep level in and out of work. But one that goes across us globally at different levels is the motivation of progress.
Yes, 100%.
I get my clients to keep a progress journal, and I don't care if it's, I think what happens, people get into sales teams, especially into quarters, months, budgets. We'll catch up at our sales meeting. Do daily progress check-ins for yourself and your team, because they're the little wins that anchor where we've been and where we're going. I love that.
Yeah. So getting people to fill in that form and start to tick a few things off, and that all of a sudden people are starting to make progress towards some of the things they want to achieve, and that is a great motivator. It's a great personal inspiration in moving people from where they are to where they really want to be. And that would be my recommendation.
Love it.
Right? Because at the end of the day, you and I as individuals, we need to feel a sense of accomplishment. We need to feel a sense of achievement, and that's good for our. What's the byproduct of all of that? Well, firstly, momentum defeats doubt.
Yeah.
So, what does doubt look like? Am I worthy? Am I deserving? Am I capable? Am I good enough? Am I smart enough?
Good? Keith, do you think doubt is good?
I think when momentum defeats doubt. So when you're making progress, you are diminishing doubt, and you're building belief.
Yeah.
See, the one thing, the one piece of language that goes through everybody's mind, Renee, is this piece around am I versus I am. And let me do something for you. Those people who are listening to this, you won't be able to see my hieroglyphics and drawings and everything like that, but
which means you need to watch it as well.
There you go. That's a good reason to do this. Because what often happens, this is the language that goes through our mind, right? So we go, am I worthy? Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I capable? And we need to shift this language around to go, I am. Now, here's what we do know.
It's such a simple reframe.
Oh, 100%. If you've got this language, the am I going through your head all the time, you are constantly questioning yourself.
Yeah.
You are constantly questioning yourself. If you switch it to I am, you are constantly affirming.
Love it.
Yourself. And so often what you find is that when people are stuck in this loop of am I good enough, am I worthy? Now, by the way, what do you think the byproduct of am I conversations in your head is? Comparison.
Yeah, that
comparison
goes imposter syndrome.
Bred in 100%. And so when you start to change that around, you then have this ability to shift your mindset. Now, here's what I say to everybody is you have to go there mentally before you go there physically. Yeah. And this is part of the mentally going there.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. And it diminishes the doubt. I always think a little bit of doubt keeps us on our toes and helps us grow, but it's not a place you want to stay in. No. But I love that. I'm big into reframes because we all know our thoughts create our feelings and dictate what we do or don't do.
Correct.
So the only choice we all have, doesn't matter who you are listening right now, is what you're thinking. So that simple flip, I love it.
And that's why Goal Drivers is so powerful, because we're not starting with a goal, we're starting with an emotion.
Yeah.
Because one of the things I so excited people, people say, I want to achieve this and I want to achieve that. And I go, okay, that's great. Tell me how you want to feel this year. Tell me how you want to feel financially. Tell me how you want to feel in your professionally, personally, physically. How do you want to feel? And that becomes the driving emotion. Yeah. And so the 8 driving emotions that we have from our research is people want to feel successful. People want to feel purposeful. People want to feel inspired. People want to feel happy. People want to feel organized. People want to feel respected. People want to feel confident, and people want to feel relaxed. So if they're the drivers, then why wouldn't I be setting goals around that? Now, how do you know your driver? Go and do go to mygoldriver.com, do that, and you'll find out what your driver is in your life, or in whichever area you pick, and you'll find your driver, and that is the foundation for the goal that you set for yourself.
Such a generous offer, Keith, and I know mine came up as explorer and driven to become purposeful.
Yes.
And it just made, I wish we could talk for hours about it, but it just made so much sense. But what I love was it gave me some clarity around what to do to sustain, not just sustain that because that's not my style, but grow that and take that to the next level, which I think is pivotal.
Yeah. I was just going to say, and of course, one of the serendipities, I often talk about the goal beyond the goal. And for you as a purposeful explorer, Renee, the goal beyond the goal in one word is legacy.
Yes.
You're driven to create a legacy.
Yeah. And it can be tough at times because I feel that and I know that, but and I know everything I'm doing is going towards that. And I think those of you listening, especially if you're in your own business, the power of how big that could be is sometimes scary, but knowing things are going in the right direction and I'm clear on that, I think is what got me through the pandemic, is having clarity on my purpose.
Yes.
To explore that, to continue to be and do what I was doing. So
and the one of whether it's a mindset or whether it's a mantra for yourself, Renee, if you're a purposeful explorer, and while we're going through any challenge, the thing that pops up is this too shall pass. You sort of go, there will be a rainbow on the other side of this. The one quote that I shared with all of my clients early in 2020 when the pandemic was upon us was that this is not a time to go through the pandemic. This is a time to grow through the pandemic. Whether that's grow your relationships, grow your, grow your business, develop yourself, grow yourself.
Yes.
Whatever it might be. I mean, probably you did exactly the same. So, I speak, as I mentioned before, I speak at 100 events a year, booked 12 months in advance, 70 got cancelled in 10 days. I sat in the corner, rocked backwards and forwards, sucked my thumb for
I did too, probably around the same time.
Sucked my thumb for a day. You might not have done the second part of that, Renee. I had a big long drink for about 2 days.
Yeah, I sat in the bath and had a bottle of wine.
and then I went, you know what? Where there is chaos, there is opportunity.
That's right.
And over the next 3 days, I made 200 phone calls to my clients all over the world, and said, "How are you?
Yes.
Are you okay?
Being in service from the heart.
Be in service. What can I do to help you? And I don't want a fee. What can I do to help you?" And my clients say, "Well, that's so grateful, Keith." I had prospects who said to me, "We've not even done business with you yet, and you're offering this to us." And all of a sudden, you just go to the top of the list. And I think that's, and
it's real, and it's real. And I love you did that. We did a bit very similar, and I'd love to just share this. I have a big saying. One of my mantras in life is do what lights you up. Don't do what you're good at. Do what you're good at that you enjoy. There's a big difference. And Monday sets the tone for the week. So same, when COVID hit, we lost 90% of our business in a week. And I did the rocking. I think I did the head banging and all that. I think mine was about 2 half days. Thought about going back into a corporation in L&D, then got offered a role because I must have attracted it. Then went, no, I've worked too hard and I love what I do. But I was just going to say we offered lots of free webinars every Monday for the whole of COVID.
Yes.
And being in service, but what it was, my favorite part of my whole business is delivery and human connection and making a difference. And every Sunday night, I knew I had that on the Monday until we picked up again. It's amazing.
And hats off to you, Renee, because most people in our profession, what they did? They stayed sucking their thumb in the corner. They didn't invest. We'll ride this out. Geez. Why sit at the bus stop when there's a train to catch, and you and I both caught the train? You know what I mean? And the people are still waiting there at the bus, and the bus ain't coming.
Keith, I feel, and those listening, I hope you agree. I feel we could have like a series here.
Yeah, we could talk for a while anyway.
I wanted to ask you one last question and then some quick trivia.
Yes.
This is a question I want to ask you. So companies have organizational goals that you would hope feed into their values, their mission, their vision, strategy, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
How important is it right now and always for leaders to get their teams together and have overarching goals that feed into the organizational goals?
Yeah, it's once again, it's that whole vital piece around having a reset.
Yeah.
Review what you've learnt for the last 2 years, because there's things that we can take forward.
Yeah.
Reset the goals and refocus your intention and your activities and your daily habits, and getting people back into a new groove, a new way.
Yes.
That it's really, but it all starts with, like if there was anything, as good as virtual is in some cases, Renee, and won't go away. What has been lacking in most organisations that I talk to is culture.
Yeah.
The culture is created when people come together.
Yeah.
The second is you can't truly collaborate virtually.
No.
And the
not
third,
as deeply. Yeah.
No, and the third is that we can have a conversation around goals, but we create clarity when we come together as a business unit to talk about the goal and the plan and the what about this and perhaps this. Oh, you know what? There's another opportunity. Oh, yeah. The Japanese have a saying called namawashi, and namawashi is you come up with, and this is where goal and plans become rock solid. You have something to say about that goal. Oh yeah, that's a great goal. We should be doing this as a strategy. And Larry will say, oh Renee, I 100% agree with you. But the other thing we should do with that, we should do this as well. And Mary says something else, and blah 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 blah. And all of a sudden, everybody adds and contributes to one another, and all of a sudden the plan becomes better. But more important, the serendipity is it becomes our plan, not my plan.
And I love that. It goes back to what we were talking about at the start. Be curious as a team, co-build. People buy into what they're involved in. People don't like being told.
100%.
So create an asking culture, not a telling culture.
Yeah, nice. I love that.
So some quick trivia. What's your favorite word, Keith?
Passion.
Yeah, me too. Love it. Such a good word. It's got an energy, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, I definitely love the noise and sound of laughter around our kitchen, our dining room table. So when my girls and my wife and I, and we're talking about something, and we're having a great laugh about it. So I love that sound.
Beautiful. That's just subliminal, like just natural organic connection.
Yeah.
If you had one last meal, what would it be?
Oh, ribeye on the bone.
Ribeye on the bone. That's your favourite cut?
Yeah.
I always have to ask that, being a bit of a foodie. And what profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
If I'm at the age I'm at now, is the manager of a professional sports team.
Oh, I could see you doing that.
Yeah, I do that. I do that now on a Saturday for a first grade side here in Brisbane. Yeah. And I took it over because a guy got crook, and a mate of mine said, "Would you help us out?" And it's been truly educational for me. A, I love cricket, and B, I'm working with these 18 to 30-year-olds, and the coach looks after them, helps them become great cricketers, and I help them become great men.
Oh, I love that. And there'd be so many crossovers from the professional world into
it's 100%.
Where coaching came from, right?
Yeah. I got a conversation this afternoon with a young guy who we've worked with, who's now in the state squad, and so and that's just because we've had, guess what, a goal-setting conversation with him.
There you go. There you go. So just, Keith, I've just loved, there's just so much gold, and we'll put all of that in the show notes.
Lovely.
Keith, just one last thing. If you had one tip today of what our listeners can take away and do, what would that be? Just one thing.
Go and do Gold Driver.
Go do
Seriously,
Gold Driver.
yeah, go and do Gold Driver. Yeah, and that will give you. That's a catalyst for a different conversation with yourself.
Yeah, I love it. Go do Gold Driver. And Keith, how do people find you? Easiest way to find you?
Yeah, easiest way to find me, keithabraham.com. They can find me there. They can send me an email from there. They can log into my blog. They can, there's heaps of free resources. All good.
Perfect. So we'll have that in the show notes. Keith, thank you so much for being just so generous in your insights and expertise. And I know I got so much out of that, and I'm sure our listeners did.
Thanks, Renee, for the opportunity, and it's a delight chatting with you.
Absolute pleasure. So thank you for listening, tuning in, or watching this today, wherever you're tuning in from. Feel free to reach out. We've got all the notes in our show notes today. And just a heads up that we have launched our next Limitless Leaders 90-day connection, which is 3 immersions over 90 days with like and unlike-minded leaders from 15 different industries. Just go to our website, reneegiarrusso.com, events, and that one is kicking off. We're taking registrations for August the 17th. Full-day face-to-face masterclass in Melbourne. Next month, we have a group mentoring session virtually, a group mastermind virtually, and one-on-one access to myself. So we take care wherever you are, and we look forward to chatting in our next episode.
You've been listening to Limitless Leaders Podcast, leading from the inside out to develop limitless self-leadership, leaders, teams, and organizations. To find out how you can accelerate your mindset, your communication, collaboration, and connection to become a limitless leader, sign up for our Limitless Leaders podcast series at www.reneegiarrusso.com/podcast series. That's reneegiarrusso.com/podcast series.